Hello, this is Mrs. Fry, and today we're going to learn about the quadratic formula. Now, previously, we had been learning how to solve quadratic equations using factoring, but unfortunately, you can't always factor your quadratic equations. There's always going to be a stubborn equation that just can't be factored, so that's why we have the quadratic formula. Now, just to review here that the standard form of a quadratic equation is ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where a, b, and c are real numbers. And as you can see, I have the equation x squared minus 3x minus 8 equals 0. Let's go ahead and just try to factor this so you can see why it's not going to work. Remember, with factoring, we would list out our factors of the number, factors of the last number, factors of 8. That's anything that multiplies to equal that number. So like 1 times 8 or 2 times 4. And then because it's a negative 8, I have to think about, okay, what would subtract to equal that middle number? Negative 3. 8 minus 1, that's not negative 3. 4 minus 2, even 2 minus 4, that's not negative 3. So it doesn't work, okay? We can't factor this. So what we can use instead is the quadratic formula. Okay, this is a big one. It looks like this. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So you can see why I wanted to review the part about the standard form of a quadratic being ax squared plus bx plus c, because now we need to identify what is a, what is b, and what is c, and then we'll be able to plug it into our equation. So for our equation, if I have x squared, that just means there's a 1 here. So a is 1. B would be the next number, negative 3, include that negative sign, and c would be that last number, negative 8. So now that I have that written out, let's plug it into our formula. It'll look like this. Negative, I do want to write x equals negative 3 plus or minus the square root of negative 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 8, and that's all over 2 times 1, because that's a. Okay, and now we're just going to simplify this. So x equals positive 3, that double negative makes it positive, plus or minus the square root of negative 3 squared, which is 9. Remember, a negative 3 times a negative 3 would be positive 9. And then negative 4 times 1 times negative 8 would be 32. So I put plus 32. And that's all over 2. 2 times 1 is 2. The next thing we can do is just add together 9 plus 32. So x equals 3 plus or minus the square root of 9 plus 32 would be 41. And that's all over 2. Now, because the square root of 41 does not simplify, I'm just going to write this answer in braces. This is as far as I can go. 3 plus or minus the square root of 41 all over 2. Okay, so that's our final answer. It's kind of messy looking, but hey, at least we have an answer, right? Okay, let's do one more example. For the second example, I have 2x squared minus 5x minus 3. Remember, a would be that first number, 2. B would be the second number, negative 5, and c would be the last number, negative 3. I'm going to write down our formula for us again, just to have it right here handy. X equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so this would be negative 5 plus or minus the square root of negative 5 squared minus 4 times 2 times negative 3, and that's all over 2 times 2. So x equals 5 plus or minus the square root of 25, negative 5 squared is 25, and then multiply negative 4 times 2 times negative 3. So that would be like negative 8 times negative 3, so that's plus 24. And that's all over 2 times 2, which is 4. So x equals 5 plus or minus the square root of, and then we have to add together 25 plus 24. So that's 49. Oops. Square root of 49 all over 4. Okay, so for this problem, our radical will simplify. So I have a few more steps than I did on the previous one. So let's go ahead and simplify the square root of 49. It's going to look like this. X equals 5 plus or minus 7 over 4. So when your problem breaks down like this, then we can split it up into 2 different parts. I like to kind of draw arrows to show how now we're going to take this plus or minus sign and split it into, one of them is going to be plus and the other one's going to be minus. So I can put 5 plus 7 over 4 and then 5 minus 7 over 4. So now I've got 2 different problems to work out. So this would be 12 over 4, which is 3, and then negative 2 over 4, which reduces to negative 1 over 2. So those are my 2 answers. Remember, quadratic should always have 2 answers. So the solution is 3 and negative 1/2. Okay, so I know that's a lot to digest. These problems are pretty big and they might be kind of confusing the first time you do one. So for your homework today, there's just going to be one problem. You're going to solve the quadratic equation using the quadratic formula. I put that here again for you, just in case you need to see it for quick reference. And there's our problem. 2x squared plus 7x minus 4 equals 0. I want you to text your answers on Remind. I think that's been the easiest way to receive your answers. It's a lot easier for me to open the pictures that you send me on there. So if you have any other work, like the papers from the packet that you want to take a picture of, you can text that to me on Remind as well. Thank you guys. I hope you're having a great day. It's a beautiful day outside, so make sure you get outside and get some fresh air too. Bye.